Download the CBS News app on your favorite devices. CBSN Los Angeles, streaming 24/7.
You can watch CBSN 24/7.
I've got an amazing story to share with you.
Understand you have some breaking news.
How does it all play out?
It's quite an adventure here at CBSN.
It's been a day.
You can watch CBSN 24/7.
I've got an amazing story to share with you.
Understand you have some breaking news.
How does it all play out?
It's quite an adventure here at CBSN.
It's been a day.
So we're going to take you to Georgia and North Carolina now. They've emerged as battleground states in this year's election, and both states are too close to call right now. Lecrae Mitchell has been following the race from Tampa, Florida, and she's here to break down the results so far. And tell us what we know. So, Lecrae, what are things looking like in both Georgia and North Carolina? Who's ahead, and how many more ballots are left to count?
So to echo Adam, I would just say that we know that these numbers are changing. And the last time I checked, with 92% of the expected vote in, President Trump was ahead by more than 103,000 votes in Georgia. And in the Tar Heel state, with 95% of the expected vote in, the president was ahead there as well by more than 76,000 votes. And so when you combine those between the two states, you have roughly more than 500,000 votes that are still outstanding at this moment out of those two states.
Earlier this morning, Lecrae, as you know, President Trump was confident he would win both states, as he did in 2016. So what's the path forward for Vice President Biden if President Trump wins the Tar Heel state, if he wins the Peach state? What's his path to 270?
Well, if the president wins Georgia and North Carolina today, but former Vice President Joe Biden won, say, Michigan, Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania, there still could be a path. But I think what I and what others would caution is that you just really want to wait and see how this turns out when some more of these votes start to come in, because we really right now, the margins are so narrow that it's still a toss-up. We're still classifying them as toss-up with CBS News. And so what I would say is, and what I'm going to continue to look at throughout the day, is what's happening at some of these counties that we've been taking stock of leading up to Election Day, places that we've been calling battleground counties within these counties, and sort of how the votes are playing out there. I did a quick look earlier at Fulton County, Gwinnett County, and these are areas that political scientists in the area, political strategists in the area have been saying were battlegrounds for different reasons. Fulton County, because of how large it is, it's the largest county by population in the state. And what people were looking to see is what the impact of the Democratic city center of Atlanta would have on some of the suburbs in the surrounding area. Gwinnett County, an area that traditionally have been very Republican due to diversifying and, becoming more of a county that wasn't so much of a Republican stronghold. We're going to be looking there to see how things shake out. So as we're taking stock of these battleground states, like I said, we really are zooming into some of the counties to see how both candidates are doing there to get any kind of indication, if possible, on how things might turn out.
So, Lecrae, in Georgia in particular, the recent past it's been checkered a little bit when it comes to access to voting. There have been accusations of voter suppression. There was a little bit of a hiccup, I think, at one polling place in Georgia where a pipe burst in the same room where ballots were being held. The ballots are fine,
that is so
but they had to stop.
2020.
They had to fix the pipe, and they had pardon?
That is so 2020. We plan. News reporters and Lecrae, you and the political unit have been planning for this election for the last 4 years, covering it. I don't think anybody had in their 1,000-page planning books what happens if a pipe bursts in one of the districts that we're following.
apparently what happens is you check on the ballots, you fix the pipe, and you extend the time that office is open because you have to make sure that, the equal amount of hours are available to all voters. But let us talk about this. We talked a little bit earlier about, those responsible for voting in the state. How aware and concerned are they about, the previous accusations of voter suppression in Georgia? How are they approaching this? All right, we're taking you to Louisville, where Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell is speaking. He won his seat back again after a bit of a challenge. Let's listen in.
To 120 counties and win by 20 points. So it was a statement by the people of Kentucky, I think, that they like having someone from our state be able to help set the national agenda and to look out for Middle America and for Kentucky. Beyond my race, as all of you know, we picked up 13 seats in the state House, 2 seats in the state Senate. And I think even more significant, given the challenges Republicans have had in recent years in the suburbs, won back 2 seats here in Jefferson County that were lost 2 years ago in suburban eastern Jefferson County. Ken Fleming and Jason Namus won. Well, Jason had actually survived last time and won again. Ken Fleming won his old seat back. So I think we're very much aware of the challenges that we have in the suburbs across America. The other thing that's been a Republican challenge really for a number of years, and particularly in recent years, is the gender gap. We haven't totally broken it down, but at one point, at least in our tracking, I was ahead among women in Kentucky, and I think that must have been the case given the size of the margin. So it was a very gratifying victory for our side in Kentucky and for the opportunity to continue to serve our people and to set the agenda at the national stage. Now, I know what's on your minds. I don't know whether I'm going to be the defensive coordinator or the offensive coordinator as we speak. I can tell you the latest that I know, which is not definitive. We're in a pretty good position in North Carolina, but not able yet to declare victory. In Maine, they have an unusual situation in which if either candidate fails to get to 50, they go back and apply something called rank order voting. In other words, you put down your second choice, and then they start adding second choices. As of the moment, Senator Collins is over 50. If that were to be sustained until they finished, she would win without going to rank order voting. So it's not a runoff, but they start counting your second choice if neither candidate reaches 50. In Georgia, the only state in the union that requires you to get 50% in the general election, Senator Perdue is ahead, but it's not clear yet whether he will win without having a runoff. And of course, we have another runoff in Georgia anyway, because the other Georgia seat is an open seat, and under Georgia law, the way open seats are done is like a jungle primary. Everybody runs, and if anybody doesn't get to 50, the top 2 have a runoff. And so in the other one, we know there will be another race January the 6th in the other Georgia Senate race. So that's the latest on the control of the Senate, and I'm sure you want to ask about other things. So let me, at this point, throw it open and see where you want to go. Yeah. I think we've talked about this before, but how you vote is determined at the state level, not in Washington. Every state does it differently. We did it differently this year under an agreement between the governor and the Secretary of State. And our job as candidates to adapt to however they want to conduct the vote. And there's no question that there are a greater number of states doing more both early and absentee voting this year because of the coronavirus. So we have to adapt to whatever the rules are in given states. It's not up to the federal government to determine how that's done. Well, as you know, I don't just sort of engage in random observations about those comments. I can give you my point of view, and I might, if you're talking about the presidential election, I think this underscores the beauty of the Electoral College. You know, everybody's always taking shots at the Electoral College. Imagine if you did not have the Electoral College and you had a close election in the popular vote count. When would the litigation ever stop? What the Electoral College guarantees is that you have finality in 50 separate places. 50 separate places you get to a final outcome. We saw under the Electoral College in 2000, close election in one state created a 5-week challenge to get the outcome in the Bush versus Gore decision. So we ought to be grateful for the Electoral College in a close presidential election like this. There will be finality reached in 50 separate places. It may take a while for the voting to finish, and both sides will probably be lawyered up if it's a close election. That's happened before and could well happen this time. Yeah. No, I'm not, because the Democrats have got lawyers out there already. I mean, looking at the Senate, both sides are lawyered up in Georgia, North Carolina, Maine, both sides. Going to court is the way we resolve uncertainty in our country. So no, I'm not troubled at all by the president suggesting that, because the other side's already doing it too. And you can anticipate in close elections, both sides will be lawyered up and we'll end up in court. It's happened over and over and over again. Nothing unusual. I'm having a hard time understanding you. Well, it's not unusual for people to claim they won the election. I can think of that happening on numerous occasions, but claiming you win the election is different from finishing the counting. And what we're going to see here in the next few days, both in the Senate races and in the presidential race, is each state will ultimately get to a final outcome. And you should not be shocked that both sides are going to have lawyers there, both in these close Senate races and in the presidential contest. Well, but Daniel, the answer is, I don't want to be disrespectful, but I've already answered it. The courts will decide disputes. That's the way we do it in this country. Having close disputed elections is not unusual. It happens all the time. So I don't think the president should be criticized for suggesting he may have some lawyers, because the other guys are certainly already doing that. And in a close election, you could anticipate in some of these states you're going to end up in court. It's the American way. Yeah. Well, I'm not sure whether I'll need to or not. We don't know who won the presidential race yet. We'll see what the American people decide they want their government to be. I don't know whether I'm going to be the majority leader or the minority leader. As I've told you, I've been both. Majority is better. And But we're awaiting the judgment of the American people. Now, on the Senate, there is a chance we will know by the end of the day. I'm told we're more likely to get a definitive answer, and this could be incorrect, by the way, but I'm told we're more likely to get a definitive answer in North Carolina and Maine by the end of the day. And we might be able to get a final answer in Michigan, or whether or not we're going to have 2 runoffs in Georgia instead of 1. Well, voter behavior is obviously impacted by the campaigns that you put on. And we tried to make as an aggressive argument as we could that my opponent was pretty much in line with where Democrats are nationally on every issue. And you heard me say over and over again that that's certainly not where I am, and that I allow Kentucky to punch above its weight. So I think it was a pretty clear choice for the people of Kentucky. And I'm glad they decided that our arguments were better than hers. It's been an amazing transformation over my time in the Senate. When I first ran, and by the way, I won by 1 vote a precinct in 1984. If you drew a line from Bowling Green to Owensboro, there wasn't a single Republican state representative or state senator in all of that area of Kentucky, not one. Today, there's not a single Democrat. And after yesterday's election, that could almost be said all over Kentucky, except for our 3 largest counties, Jefferson, Fayette, and Franklin. Eastern Kentucky did a complete transformation. I think that's a legacy of President Obama's war on coal, and then the popularity of the current president added on to that has flipped counties that I used to get 40% if I was lucky in, to getting 60 and 70%. So, yeah, I think Kentucky's undergone a political transformation. It was happening, but really speeded up after Obama and Trump. And the last indicator is registration. 2.5 to 1 Democrat, 36.
CBSN Bay Area. In your hand, on demand, and absolutely free. Highly updated.
But we do know this. The Biden team is prepared. They have a team of lawyers that they say that they are willing to roll out should this get into the courts. Obviously, it's going to go by a state-by-state basis before it gets into the Supreme Court at all. But the Biden team put out a statement shortly after the president's remarks. He said that this is a naked attack on the democratic process for American citizens there. So I think it'll be interesting to see what happens. Hopefully, we don't get to that point. But I think the president is certainly considering legal action should this race not go in his favor.
All right, Skylar Henry first at the White House. Skylar, as always, my man, we appreciate it.
All right, have a good one, guys.
So coming up after the break, all eyes are on the Midwest as key battleground states start off the morning with millions of ballots left to count. We'll take a closer look at some of the legal issues over mail-in voting that will paint an uncertain picture of how the rest of the week could unfold. You're streaming CBSN.